The second her eyes met mine, everything stopped. The crowds cheering, the flashes of cameras, even the sound of Eli's name being called. It all blurred out like background noise. She froze mid-step, her smile collapsing into something I can't even describe. I saw her knees weaken as if the floor had just tilted beneath her. For years. For silent, brutal years, and then this. I didn't plan to come. Hell, I told myself 1,000 times that I'd just send a card, maybe a gift, but I wouldn't walk into that arena where she might be. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to see her, to feel that old rage and heartbreak, to let her see how broken I've become. But when Eli called me the night before, his voice all shaky, saying, "Dad, it would mean the world if you're there," I knew I had to show up. And maybe some part of me wanted to see her face, to see if she'd even flinch, to see if the woman who once shattered me into pieces could still pretend she did nothing wrong. But the look she gave me, it wasn't the look of someone who'd moved on, who was happy with her choices. No, it was the look of someone who just saw the ghost of all her worst memories come to life. She didn't wave. She didn't even blink. Her hand, which had been clapping for Eli, just dropped to her side like it was made of stone. For a split second, I swear I saw her lips part like she wanted to say my name, but she didn't. And that silence between us, even across that packed hall, felt like a blade pressing right against my throat. I turned away first. I couldn't handle it. Not after everything. Not after how she left. How she didn't just walk away from me, but from the man I used to be. The rest of the ceremony was a blur. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped my phone when Eli came up to hug me. I forced a smile, clapping like every other proud parent, but all I could feel was her eyes drilling into my back from across the room. And here's the worst part. As much as I hate her for what she did, I wanted her to come up to me. I wanted her to say something. Anything. That would make sense of the wreckage she left behind. But she didn't. Not yet. I thought I could just leave. Eli was surrounded by friends, taking photos with his cap tilted sideways, the kind of moment every parent lives for. I told him I'd meet him at the restaurant for dinner. I couldn't stay in that gymnasium another second with her just a few rows away. But when I walked out into the parking lot, she was there, leaning against her car like she'd been waiting for me all along. My legs felt heavy, like I was dragging chains. I wanted to keep walking, pretend I didn't see her, but when she spoke my name, the sound cut straight through me. Clyde. Just my name. Nothing else. My heart started pounding like I was about to get hit by a truck. I didn't answer at first. I just stood there, hands shoved in my pockets, watching her like I was staring at a stranger. She looked different. Her hair darker, shorter, like she'd cut off not just the length but the woman I used to know. Her green dress swayed in the evening wind, and for a moment I remembered how she used to look at me when we were young, before life turned into this wreck. "You came," she said, like she didn't expect me to show up for my own son. My jaw tightened. "Of course I came," I said, my voice sharper than I meant it to be. "Did you think I'd just disappear forever? That I'd let Eli go through this without me?" She flinched at that, like my words slapped her, but she didn't look away. "I didn't know if you'd ever want to see me again," she whispered. There it was, that subtle tone of guilt, like an undertow pulling me right back to the day she walked out. "You think I wanted this?" I snapped. 4 years, Marlene. 4 years of nothing. Not a call, not a text. Do you have any idea what it's like to wake up every day wondering how we went from being a family to whatever this is? Her eyes glistened. She was trying hard not to cry, and I hated that part of me still cared enough to notice. "I made mistakes," she said quietly, "but you don't know the whole story. You never did." That line stopped me cold. My whole story. What was there to know? She cheated. She left. End of story. Or at least, that's what I told myself all these years to keep from falling apart. But the way she looked at me then, like there was some terrible truth she'd been holding back, made me pause. "What are you talking about?" I asked, my voice low, almost a growl. She glanced around the parking lot, like someone might be listening, and stepped closer. "This isn't the place," she said. "But if you want answers, real answers, meet me after dinner. There are things you need to hear." I should have walked away. I should have told her I didn't care anymore. But something about the way she said it, the way her voice trembled, lit a fire in my gut. For the first time in years, I wanted the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I barely tasted a single bite of the food at the graduation dinner. Eli was beaming, talking about his plans for college, his friends, his memories of high school, and I nodded and smiled like the proud father I'm supposed to be. But inside, I wasn't even there. My head was spinning with her words, with that strange, heavy look she gave me in the parking lot. She sat 2 tables away, pretending to listen to her sister talk, but I could feel her glancing at me every few minutes. Not staring, just these quick, nervous flicks of her eyes like she was waiting for me to signal something. I wanted to ignore her. I wanted to enjoy the night for my son. But the truth? I was counting down the minutes until I could get out of there and hear whatever it was she was so desperate to tell me. Every fork scrape, every fake laugh from the table felt like nails on a chalkboard. I kept checking the clock like a man waiting for a bomb to go off. When the night finally wound down and the last photos were taken, Eli hugged us both, one after the other. The kids got no idea how broken things are between us. Maybe that's for the best. I promised him I'd see him tomorrow, but I barely remember the ride home. All I could think about was her text that came 10 minutes later. Meet me behind the old train depot. 10 p.m. Please. I almost didn't go. I sat in my truck with the engine off, staring at the clock on the dashboard. Why should I give her the satisfaction? She'd already wrecked my life once. But something about the way she said please kept eating at me. The train depot was abandoned years ago, just a stretch of cracked pavement and rusted tracks, the kind of place teenagers use for bonfires. When I pulled up, her car was already there. She was leaning against the hood, arms folded, that same tense look on her face as earlier. I didn't think you'd come, she said softly as I stepped out. Then why ask? I shot back, my tone colder than I intended. She sighed, looking down at her hands. Because there are things I should have told you a long time ago. Things I couldn't tell you back then. I laughed bitterly. You mean like why you walked out? Why you decided some guy from the city was worth blowing up 17 years of marriage? Her face went pale, and she shook her head. Clyde, it wasn't just about him. God, I wish it had been that simple. You think I wanted to leave? You think I wanted to hurt you like that? She stopped, biting her lip, her eyes scanning the empty lot like she was afraid of being overheard. I stepped closer, my voice low but sharp. Then tell me. Stop talking in riddles, and just tell me what the hell happened. She looked up, and I swear, the fear in her eyes made my stomach turn. That man, he wasn't just someone I was seeing. He wasn't who you think he was at all. And I left because I had to, not because I wanted to. There are things about him, about what happened back then, that could still hurt Eli, if you knew the truth. Her words hit me like a punch to the ribs. What the hell was she talking about? I wanted to demand answers, but before I could, headlights swept across the lot. A car was coming down the empty road toward us, and she instantly stiffened. Not now, she whispered urgently, grabbing my arm. Not here. Trust me, Clyde, please. If you still care about Eli, you'll let me explain everything somewhere safer. I stared at her, stunned, as the strange car slowed down by the tracks, its headlights glaring. And for the first time since she left, I wasn't angry. I was scared, because I realized, deep down, she wasn't lying. I didn't follow her that night, not right away. When the strange car rolled past the depot, its headlights cutting across her face like a spotlight, I saw a real panic in her eyes. It wasn't the kind of panic you fake to get sympathy. It was raw, shaking, almost primal. But even then, a part of me hesitated. Why should I trust her after everything? She had walked out of my life without a word, and now she expected me to believe there was some hidden danger lurking in the past, something so bad it could still hurt Eli. I drove home with my chest buzzing like it was filled with live wires. Sleep wasn't even an option. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the grain of the wood, remembering how she used to sit across from me with her hair up, eating late-night pancakes when we couldn't sleep. I hated myself for still feeling something for her. Hate, love, I couldn't tell the difference anymore. By 3 a.m., I couldn't take it. I needed answers. The next day, I saw Eli off to hang out with his friends. Then I called her. I didn't expect her to answer, but she did. Her voice was quiet, like she was hiding somewhere. Clyde, she said, almost relieved. Thank God. I thought you wouldn't call. Don't thank me, I said sharply. I'm done guessing. You're going to tell me exactly what's going on, and you're going to do it now. There was a pause on the other end, just her breathing. Then she whispered, not on the phone. If I tell you everything, Clyde, you'll understand why I left, but I need you to promise me something first. Promise me you'll keep Eli out of this. Eli, I frowned. What does he have to do with any of this? Everything, she said. More than you know. Meet me tonight, at the old Miller barn. You remember where it is." And then she hung up. The Miller barn was on the outskirts of town, half collapsed and swallowed by weeds. We used to sneak out there when we were teenagers, before the world got complicated. Driving up to it again, decades later, felt like stepping into a bad dream. She was already there, pacing by the doorway, and for the first time in years, she looked genuinely afraid of me. Or maybe afraid of what she was about to say. "Start talking," I said as I got out of the truck. My voice came out rougher than I intended. "No more riddles. No more cryptic warnings. If you have something to say about our son, you're going to say it now." She looked me dead in the eye, and for a long moment, she didn't blink. "The man you think I left you for. I didn't choose him, Clyde. He wasn't who he said he was. He came into my life with threats, with promises that if I didn't cooperate, if I didn't leave, Eli would." She stopped, swallowed hard, and looked down. "I did what I had to do to protect him." I felt my stomach flip. "What do you mean threats? Are you telling me you were blackmailed? That you just left to protect him and never told me?" Tears welled up in her eyes, but she didn't look away. "It wasn't just blackmail. It was bigger. He knew things about you, about your work, about money that wasn't supposed to exist. He said he could ruin you, Clyde. He said he could ruin all of us. I left because I thought it was the only way to keep you safe, but I was wrong. He's back." The air around us felt heavier with every word she said. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest, but something inside me still didn't want to believe her. I wanted to think this was just another excuse, another lie. But her voice, her trembling hands, it was too real. Before I could even process what she'd just told me, we both heard the crunch of tires on gravel. A black SUV slowed to a stop about 20 yards from us, its tinted windows reflecting the dim orange of the setting sun. Marlene's face went pale, and I knew, without her saying a word, that this was him. The black SUV rolled to a slow stop, its engine humming low like a predator's growl. I felt every muscle in my body tense up, my fists clenching without even realizing it. Marlene grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my sleeve. "Don't move," she whispered, her voice shaking. I could see her eyes darting between me and the vehicle, like she was calculating whether we should run or stand our ground. My mind raced. Was this the same man she left me for? The so-called city guy? And if he was, why was he showing up here like some kind of shadow out of a nightmare? The driver's door opened, but no one stepped out. Instead, a window slid down just enough for me to catch the silhouette of a man inside. He didn't say a word. He just sat there, watching us through the tinted glass. The silence stretched on, and I swear it felt like hours, even though it was probably less than a minute. Finally, I couldn't take it. I stepped forward, yanking free of Marlene's grip. "You've got something to say?" I called out, my voice echoing against the crumbling walls of the barn. "Then say it." The man chuckled, this low, deliberate sound that sent a chill crawling up my spine. "Clyde," he said, his voice calm, almost amused. "It's been a long time coming." I froze. I didn't recognize the voice, but he spoke my name like he knew me, like he'd been waiting for this moment. "Who the hell are you?" I demanded. He leaned forward, and for the first time, I saw part of his face. Dark hair, sharp jawline, eyes that looked like they could cut glass. "Who I am doesn't matter," he said. "What matters is that your wife made a promise. And from where I'm sitting, she's about to break it." I turned to Marlene, my jaw tightening. "What is he talking about? What promise?" Her face crumpled like paper. "I didn't tell you everything," she whispered. "Back then, when I left, I thought I could make him stop. I thought I could give him what he wanted and protect you and Eli. But it wasn't enough." The man's laugh was quiet, but it burned. "Protect them? Oh, Marlene, you really thought you could keep secrets from me? You thought I wouldn't find out where Clyde's been hiding all these years?" His eyes shifted to me. "You've been living like nothing happened, but it's time you pay your share, too." I took another step toward him, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. "What the hell do you want from me?" He smirked. "Answers. The same thing you want, Clyde. Answers to questions you didn't even know you had. You think your wife's story is just about cheating? You think she walked out because she stopped loving you? No. She walked out because I made her. Because I know things about you. Things that would tear your precious life apart if they came out." It felt like someone had just dropped a bomb in my chest. I shook my head, unable to process his words. "You don't know anything about me," I said, though my voice was thinner now, not as sure. "Oh, I know everything, he replied. And tonight, you're going to find out why Marlene's been running all this time. But first, you're going to get in the car. Both of you. Or, he trailed off, tilting his head. I make a phone call that will change Eli's life forever. Marlene's hand shot out to grab mine, her grip icy cold. Clyde, please, she whispered. Don't fight him. Not yet. We have to go. Every instinct in me screamed to walk away, to refuse. But the moment he said Eli's name, all my fight drained out of me. I'd do anything to protect my son. Anything. Even if it meant stepping into the unknown with the woman who broke me and the man who was now holding all the cards. I opened the car door. The second I sat in that SUV, I knew I'd made a mistake. The door closed behind me with a heavy thud, the kind that felt final, like the sound of a vault being sealed. The air inside was thick with some kind of sharp, chemical smell, and I could feel the leather sticking to the sweat on my palms. Marlene slid in next to me, her shoulders tense, her hands clenched together like she was praying. The man behind the wheel glanced at me in the rearview mirror, his eyes cold and flat, like polished stones. Not a word was spoken as we pulled out of the lot. The ride was silent, but my head was anything but. Every bump in the road felt like a drumbeat against my ribs. I kept staring at Marlene, hoping she'd give me something. A look, a whisper, anything to explain what the hell I'd just walked into. But she kept her gaze down, her lips pressed tight like she was afraid even breathing too loud would set him off. I wanted to shake her and demand answers, but the man's presence was suffocating, like a shadow pressing down on both of us. Where are we going? I finally asked, my voice low, tense. He didn't look back, just smirked slightly. Somewhere quiet, he said. Somewhere you'll finally hear the truth without all the noise. I hated the way he said it, like he was in control of everything, like my life was just some story he'd been writing from the sidelines. You think you can just drag me into your little game? I snapped. I don't even know who the hell you are. That's when he glanced at me through the mirror, and there was something in his expression that froze me in place. You don't know me, he said, his voice calm but sharp. But I know you, Clyde. I know what you've done. I know the debts you've forgotten about. I know how much you owe, and I'm not talking about money. My jaw tightened. What the hell are you talking about? I don't owe anyone anything. Marlene shifted beside me, her eyes wide. Clyde, stop, she whispered. Just let him. Let him what? I cut her off, turning to face her. He's talking in circles, and you're acting like I'm supposed to just sit here and... Because he's telling the truth, she said, her voice barely audible. She looked at me then, and I swear, I barely recognized her. Clyde, there are things you don't remember. Things that happened before all of this. Things I've been keeping from you because I thought if you knew, you'd never look at me, or Eli, the same way again. The car slowed, turning down a narrow dirt road surrounded by trees. I felt my pulse spike, my mind trying to piece together what she meant. What was there to remember? My past was boring. I grew up in this same town. I married her. I worked the same job for years. There were no dark secrets. Nothing. Except something in the back of my mind started clawing its way forward. A memory. A night I hadn't thought about in decades. A fire. A scream. I shoved it back down, not wanting to go there. The SUV stopped in front of an old, abandoned farmhouse. The windows were boarded up, the paint was peeling, and the front door hung off its hinges. The man turned off the engine and finally looked back at us fully. Time to stop pretending, he said with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Time to tell Clyde what really happened that night. Or do I have to do it for you, Marlene? She went pale, shaking her head. No, please, not here. What night? I demanded, my voice sharp, almost panicked. Marlene turned to me slowly, and for the first time, I saw tears sliding down her face. Clyde, she whispered, there's something about Eli you don't know. Something about the night that changed everything for us. The air inside that farmhouse was stale, heavy with dust, and something else I couldn't place. Maybe the weight of whatever secrets were about to crawl out of Marlene's mouth. I stood there, my fists clenched, my heartbeat so loud I could barely hear her trembling voice when she finally spoke. Do you remember the night of the fire, Clyde? She asked, her eyes locking on mine like she was trying to read my soul. The question hit me like a hammer. For a moment, I thought she was talking nonsense. The fire, I said, my voice cracking slightly. What fire? She glanced at the man, who leaned against the wall with his arms crossed. a smirk playing on his lips like he was watching the final act of a play he'd seen 1,000 times. "Go on," he said to her, almost taunting. "Tell him about the boy." Marlene's hands trembled as she reached for me, but I stepped back, my gut twisting. "Don't touch me," I muttered. "Just talk." She swallowed hard. 14 years ago, before Eli was born, there was an accident. You were there, Clyde. You and I both were. That night we went out to that cabin with Reggie and some of your buddies. Do you remember? Bits and pieces of memory flickered in my mind, but they were fragmented, like broken glass. The cabin, beer bottles clinking, laughter that got too loud, and then flames. A scream so sharp it sliced through my skull like a blade. I shook my head violently. No, that was nothing. That wasn't real. It was real. She cut me off, tears spilling down her face now. You were drinking. We all were. You didn't see the boy hiding out there. He was just a kid, Clyde, maybe 12, maybe younger. He got caught in the fire when we knocked over that lantern. And we left. We left because we panicked. I felt my knees weaken, my stomach lurching like I was going to throw up. What the hell are you talking about? I barked, my voice shaking. You think I'd forget something like that? You did forget, the man interrupted, his voice calm and cutting. Because I made sure you forgot. You don't remember me, Clyde, but I was there that night. That boy was my brother. And while you were busy playing happy family, I've spent the last 14 years living with the image of his burned body burned into my mind. I froze. My mouth opened, but no words came out. My brain refused to accept what he was saying. You're lying, I finally muttered. This is some sick game you two are playing. You're trying to. He's not lying, Marlene said, her voice breaking. I found out later, Clyde. I found out who he was, what really happened. When he came for me years ago, I thought if I left you, if I gave him everything he asked for, he'd let you live with your memory intact. I thought I could protect Eli from this nightmare. I stared at her, my entire world spinning out of control. Eli? What the hell does Eli have to do with this? The man laughed, but there was no humor in it, just bitterness, sharp and cold. Because I could have gone to the police. I could have destroyed both of you. But I didn't. I waited. I watched. And then I saw your son grow up, thinking his father is some decent man. You don't deserve that kid, Clyde. You don't deserve that life. And now, I'm here to take back what's owed. Enough, I shouted, my voice cracking, my chest heaving. You're not touching my son. You're not laying a damn finger on him. The man tilted his head, his smirk widening just slightly. Then prove you're not the coward you were that night. Tell him. Tell Eli the truth about what you did. Or I will. Marlene's sobs filled the silence between us. My mind was a war zone of broken memories and disbelief, but one thing cut through the chaos. I had no idea how I was going to keep this monster from turning my son's entire world upside down. The man's words hung in the air like smoke, choking me, making it hard to breathe. My head was spinning, flashes of that night. The fire, the screams, the terror, started to come back in jagged pieces I couldn't push away anymore. I felt the world slipping under my feet. Marlene grabbed my hand, and for a moment, I almost pulled away. But then I saw her face, broken, terrified, but still fighting, and I realized something I hadn't admitted in years. No matter what happened between us, she had always been trying to protect our family in her own way. I took a deep breath and faced the man. You want the truth? Fine. I'll tell Eli myself. But you're not going to threaten him. You're not going to touch my son, because this ends here. The man's eyes narrowed, like he wasn't expecting me to stand up to him. You think you can just confess and walk away? He said, his tone sharp. I don't care what happens to me, I said, my voice steady now, stronger than it had been in years. I care about Eli. I care about Marlene. If you want to keep punishing me for what happened that night, do it, but I won't let you poison my son with this. For a long, tense moment, he just stared at me. Then, slowly, something in his expression shifted. I don't know if it was the conviction in my voice or the fact that he finally saw I wasn't going to run anymore, but the rage in his eyes softened, just a fraction. You're not the man I thought you were, he muttered, almost to himself. When I saw you years ago, all I saw was a coward who ran from a burning building. But maybe you've been punishing yourself all this time. I didn't answer. I couldn't. He looked at Marlene, then back at me, and sighed. You'll never forget what happened. I know I can't. But I'm done chasing ghosts. If you ever want to make peace with what you did, you'll find a way to honor him. That's all I'll say. And with that, he turned, got back in his SUV, and drove away, leaving nothing but the sound of gravel crunching under his tires and my own shaking breath. Marlene collapsed into my arms, sobbing. I didn't know what to say, so I just held her. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about the past or the mistakes or the betrayal. I was just thinking about the fact that we were still here, still alive, and maybe, just maybe, we could finally stop running. Later that night, I told Eli everything. Not every detail, but enough. He didn't hate me. He didn't look at me like I was a monster. He just hugged me and said, "Dad, I don't care about the past. I just care that you're here now." For the first time in 4 years, I felt like I could breathe again. I looked at Marlene, who was standing in the doorway, tears in her eyes, and I realized that maybe our story wasn't over after all. Maybe, just maybe, we still had time to build something new out of the ashes.